Some people find themselves in situations where survival seems impossible. Lost in the wild, stranded at sea, facing nature's deadliest forces, these are the stories of those who refuse to give up. Today, I'm bringing you some of the most incredible real-life survival tales that will leave you in awe. Story 1. The man who survived 76 days lost at sea. Stephen Callahan, a skilled sailor, set off on a solo journey across the Atlantic, but disaster struck when his boat collided with an unknown object and sank in the middle of nowhere. Armed with only a life raft, a few supplies, and his survival instincts, Stephen drifted across the ocean for an astonishing 76 days. What kept him alive? He caught rainwater with a solar still, fished for food, and fought off sharks trying to puncture his raft. Against all odds, he was finally spotted by fishermen near the Caribbean, barely alive but still fighting. Story 2. The woman who fell from the sky and survived. It was Christmas Eve, 1971, when 17-year-old Julianne Kopke boarded LANSA Flight 508 with her mother. But within hours, tragedy struck. A lightning bolt hit the aircraft, causing it to break apart mid-air. Passengers were sucked out, falling thousands of feet into the Amazon jungle. Miraculously, Julianne survived the 2-mile fall, still strapped to her seat. Alone in the vast, dangerous jungle, she relied on her father's survival teachings to stay alive. She walked for 11 days, surviving on rainwater and avoiding deadly creatures before being rescued by local loggers. Story 3. The mountain climber who cut off his own arm. In 2003, Aaron Ralston, an experienced mountaineer, set out for a solo hike in Utah's Blue John Canyon. But one wrong step led to disaster. A falling boulder pinned his right arm against a rock wall, trapping him in a narrow crevice with no way to call for help. For 127 agonizing hours, he battled dehydration and hypothermia, surviving on sips of water and sheer willpower. Realizing no one was coming to save him, Aaron made an unthinkable choice. He amputated his own arm with a dull multi-tool to break free. After the grueling escape, he hiked for hours until hikers found him. His story inspired the movie 127 Hours, showing just how far human resilience can go in the face of death. Survival isn't just about strength, it's about the will to live. These stories prove that when faced with impossible odds, the human spirit can push beyond its limits. Would you survive in these situations? Story 4. The man who survived 438 days lost at sea. In 2012, Salvador Alvarenga, a fisherman from El Salvador, set out on a routine fishing trip off the coast of Mexico. But a brutal storm destroyed his boat's engine, leaving him adrift in the Pacific Ocean, with no land in sight. Days turned into weeks, then months. With no supplies, he survived by catching fish with his bare hands, drinking rainwater, and even eating raw birds and turtles. His crewmate didn't survive, leaving Salvador alone for 438 days, over a year at sea. He finally washed ashore on the Marshall Islands, 6,000 miles from where he started. Against all odds, he had survived the impossible. Story 5. The boy raised by wolves in Siberia. This story sounds like a fairy tale, but it's a documented case of human survival in the wild. In 1965, a 4-year-old Russian boy named Ivan wandered away from his family's village and got lost in the Siberian wilderness. Search parties gave up, assuming he wouldn't survive the freezing temperatures. But when hunters found him 6 years later, they discovered something astonishing. He had been living among wolves. He walked on all fours, communicated through howls, and had adapted to life as a wild animal. Though he was eventually brought back to society, Ivan struggled to adjust after years in the wild, proving that human survival instincts can override even civilization itself. Story 6. The plane crash survivors who turned to cannibalism. In 1972, Uruguayan Air Force Flight 571 was carrying a rugby team over the Andes Mountains when it crashed in a remote, icy wasteland. Out of 45 passengers, only 27 survived the impact. But their nightmare was just beginning. With freezing temperatures and no food, they faced starvation. After weeks of suffering, they made an unthinkable decision: to eat the bodies of those who had died in order to survive. After 72 days trapped in the mountains, 2 survivors hiked for 10 days through the snow-covered peaks to find help. Rescuers arrived shortly after, and the world was stunned by their harrowing story. The ordeal was later adapted into the film Alive. The human will to survive is stronger than we can imagine. These stories prove that in the face of death, people will do whatever it takes to stay alive. Which of these survival stories shocked you the most? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to hear more unbelievable real-life survival stories. Until next time, stay safe. And remember, survival is always possible. If you found these stories inspiring, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more incredible real-life survival stories.